Hello, and welcome back to the Players' Championship at Sawgrass, presented by GnWC. While we were away, Rick Baba Ganoush chipped in a birdie from the rough on 18 to finish at 3 under for the day. We're going to head on over to hole 16 with Duke right now.
Oh!
But why? Dalton Castle would not be at the TPC Sawgrass. Why would you do that? And why are you not using your indoor voice?
So good. I hope I didn't just totally blast you out there. Are you okay?
Quiet, please.
I love your sound effects.
Those are good, right?
They're fantastic.
Those were on the fly.
Oh, man.
Actually, I should have went, get in the hole! I should have done something like that, but all right, well, whatever. I'm Duke. I am joined always
by... he's Larry.
I am Larry, and I'm joined always by my co-host, Rick Baba Ganoush.
Rick, I'm Duke.
Are you excited for NXT Takeover Brooklyn this Saturday?
I am actually. Back to Brooklyn, or Brooklyn 2, whatever they're calling it.
It's no sleep to Brooklyn.
What's that?
It's no sleep till Brooklyn.
Yeah, now it's hashtag no sleep till Brooklyn.
Are they really doing that?
It's going to be pretty close with me, too.
But whatever. Listen, let me tell you something. Watching the show today, the thing they did with the Of Mice and Men song, where they took all the non-main event non-event matches and they mashed them into the music with the concert footage and the quotes and everything, that was probably one of the best produced wrestling segments I've ever seen. Like promos or whatever you want to call it. It made me excited for all the matches. Aries, No Way Jose, the Revival, and Gargano Ciampa and all that.
NXT got an NXT.
How does one company get something so right and then fail on the mainstream level? They're already doing stuff that is awesome like that. And then they do something that's Brock Lesnar or Randy Orton, and it's kind of like, you're kind of falling asleep on the couch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And then there's SmackDown that's brilliant, but we'll have to get to that in another show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't have time for a weekly show today because we got two live event specials to cover. The first
one
being,
of them's like 14 hours long.
Of course, because all the major pay-per-views are now going to be 14 hours long because they broke the seal, and they've done it once, and now they're going to do it all the time.
You got to be careful. Every time someone's pauses after they say because, all I think is New Day rocks. New, you go because, and I almost went New Day rocks
because I was trying to get the term break the seal, but
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
All right, let's break.
I liked it.
Speaking of breaking the seal, let's talk about the first match at NXT Takeover, or the first match we're talking about. No Way Jose versus Austin Aries. They have not done a lot in the last couple of weeks together. But Jose was in a match, I believe it was last week, and they did again, like I said, the promo segment with the Of Mice and Men song. Are you excited for this match? Because I kind of am.
I kind of am too, because between the range of emotion that's been shown by both guys and just the random betrayal from Aries that led to all of this, it's I don't know, I really like it. And then there's also what Triple H said on the media call today, that he's what he's looking for out of Jose is him showing a different side, not just a happy-go-lucky guy. And we've already seen brilliant flashes of that, I feel like. So I look forward to seeing how that translates to in-ring performance, not just promo and sort of after-the-fact type stuff.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And this is one of those classic ECW-like moments where you take a legend. Okay, all right, legend's a little bit too big of a world. But let's say you take the greatest man on earth and you put him in the ring with some up-and-comer developmental talent who's oozing with charisma and the fans are behind. That was like ECW's model back in the day. Mikey Whipwreck versus Steve Austin. and all the like, when ECW was grabbing all these guys from all over, all the local guys, and then like guys off of WWE contracts and WCW contracts would come in as well and work. It's a defining moment, and I'm glad that NXT is kind of bringing the two molds together with Austin and Rude, who we're going to talk about in a while, and pairing them with the newer, younger guys. I kind of suspect Aries is going to win here. I mean, he's too big of a name to drop this match, I think, and NXT doesn't really do multiple live event special feuds. So I don't think this is going to be like the first of 3, and then they're going to come back at the next, takeover and wrestle again. But I think Austin's probably going to cheat to win. It's going to probably be a roll-up or a pull of the tights, and it's going to be one of those situations where they're going to do all they can to make No Way Jose look strong, but Aries still go over, because Aries is probably going to be, at one point in time, through shuffling of talent, one of the main event guys. So, how do you think? Who do you think's going to win?
That's kind of exactly what I think. I suspect Aries takes this. I know NXT is all about really bringing things to a close at pay-per-views or special events, I should say. But I will say I expect this to continue past Brooklyn, but not like a series of 3, like you said.
Right.
Not that.
The
but
traditional,
maybe,
this guy wins next event, and then the third event is the rubber match.
Right, yeah. I don't know that we'll see that, but maybe they have a really knockdown, drag-out main event for NXT TV.
Okay.
Or maybe it rolls into the next event, but obviously that'll be, I suspect that'll be a Full Sail event, so smaller scale, so on and so forth.
The one thing I wanted to look up is, when were they in London last year? October? Was that the next event after Brooklyn? And when was the Dusty Rhodes Classic? Because I have something in my mind for Austin Aries that has to do with him becoming partners again with someone glorious. And
yeah.
maybe if it's a Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament that happens next, maybe it's
maybe they run the tables.
Maybe Jose finds a partner and Aries finds a partner, and that's how they continue / settle the feud, if there is another one-off match.
Or maybe they sort of continue it there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have one last match after that. So it's not necessarily a true 1-to-1 feud, but it keeps.
Oh, it's a Roman Reigns Bray Wyatt feud.
Sure.
You have a match, and then you have 600 million combinations of a tag team match, and then you have another match to kind of end the feud.
But not ridiculous like that. Once again, doing it the right way, not the.
For the record, Duke
way.
just said Roman Reigns is ridiculous.
It's not what I said.
So
we're picking the same guy, Austin Aries, on this one.
Yeah,
Next
how
match.
could you not pick the greatest man on earth? But did I ever tell you that time I went to my friend's wedding?
Next match.
And no, listen, this is relevant. And there was somebody in the on the bride's side that looked like Austin Aries, and I would lead my table in Austin Aries chants the whole time. And he kept looking over at us. I don't think it was Austin Aries though, but
I don't know that actually happened. But
it's a solid story from my life that actually did happen.
Okay.
So we can move on to the next match, because who wasn't at the wedding was Billie Kay, and she is fighting the Gray Shadow standing next to her on the Brooklyn Bridge. And
fantastic.
I don't know what to make of this match. Actually, that's Ember Moon, who's the Gray Shadow. It could be Randy Orton. I don't know. But her debut, Athena, as you know her from Shimmer, or whatever her name was, wrestling in NXT house shows. Billie Kay has had the momentum. She's had a win streak. She beat the legendary Santana Garrett on TV. And now she's going to be put in this inevitable losing situation against the newcomer. Okay, first things first. Ember Moon's going to win, correct?
I suspect, yes.
Okay. Second of all, why did they waste our time with this Billie Kay winning streak if they're just going to turn her around and have her lose in this higher profile match? Is it to build her up, to bring her down, to make Ember Moon more special?
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that, Duke.
it just depends on. I'm with you, but it depends on how she comes out of it and how long they have. I mean, between this is one of two ladies matches, right?
Yes.
So I suspect it's going to be a significant match because they're very, very on board with Ember Moon and she seems to be the next person, the next serious contender for a title, whoever is going to have it.
You don't realize what you just said, but you just broke my heart and kicked me in the nuts at the same time when you said that.
Yeah, I know, I get what you're saying, but she still seems to be the next serious contender for, like, you may have maybe Billie Kay moves up to have a quick little 1 or 2 match thing for the title, sort of like Nia Jax did.
Okay.
But and so maybe she's sort of the she's sort of the tune-up / gatekeeper role for Ember Moon.
She's the transition talent.
Yeah, I think that starts right now at Takeover. So
well,
I don't think it's necessarily bad for her, and
No.
she has already been on SmackDown, and SmackDown could use some more nasty girls.
SmackDown could use some
that
more
was
serious women's
best.
wrestlers.
Yeah, that was not the best way to say that, but SmackDown could use. Yeah, exactly.
Was that a Janet Jackson song? Are you just singing to me? I don't know. No.
That was Nasty Boys.
Oh, my bad. Listen. We know that the women's division in NXT was kind of in turmoil. What they did today on NXT TV with the 6 women tag team match with, Alexa Bliss, Daria, and, Jenny Rose. Jenny Rose? No, right? Mandy Rose. Jenny Rose is somebody else. Another wrestler. Versus Nikki Glencross, the greatest wrestler in the galaxy, and then the 2 other people. That was awesome because you brought in 3 people at one time to debut. You also had Billie Kay on the show with a segment with Mr. Regal. Why couldn't they have done that, like, in the first episode of the TV taping block? Because then there's less speculation on what the women's division would be, and there's more, like, excitement about it.
I suspect it's because they will be dark matches or they'll be TV taped matches, and so you wanted people to have seen them before the TV taped matches at Brooklyn. I suspect that's strictly give them a little bit of exposure so people have seen them at least once.
Oh, so you think they're going to do
some matches at Brooklyn?
Okay, because they are doing a TV taping at Brooklyn, and they did
Right.
it last year as well. It was
Exactly.
the event beforehand became the show afterhand kind of
Yeah, I
situation.
mean, there's really nothing else for them to do but to showcase some of the ladies, really. the ladies plus Authors of Pain. That's pretty much all you have. That's pretty much the only sort of non-title related TV taping stuff you can do. So it from a exposure standpoint, it makes sense for them to have been on TV tonight.
Okay, all right,
In my opinion.
that's fair enough. Authors of Pain, yeah, that's true. Well, TM 61,
Right, exactly.
and stuff like that.
Which they've sort of started that feud last week.
And they started
we'll
pushing.
probably see a match or something like that from the TV taping.
That would be actually pretty awesome. I would not have minded that match on the show actually as well. I feel like we like NXT so much that the shows are too short. But then we get to SummerSlam and the shows are just like too long.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like a Goldilocks porridge situation. But
I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I don't want to sort of, I don't know. I don't want to dump on it now, but I feel like it's worth saying. I don't think I will watch all of SummerSlam in one sitting. I just really, I don't know. It's SummerSlam, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you know the last 2
I'll just
times?
stay off of social media, I guess.
The last 2 times they really did like a drag out event, like WrestleMania or SummerSlam last year. First of all, I think is
Yep.
what started it.
Yeah, because it was 4 hours last year. and
WrestleMania,
hour, 2 hours.
and then because Money in the Bank had the WrestleMania feel, they tried to make it like WrestleMania as well in terms of time and length. All those shows, I've lost interest in at some point in time, and mostly near the end of the night, where I'm just I don't care. And if Lesnar, Orton, and we'll talk about this when we do the SummerSlam thing, but it's relevant and on topic now because you brought it up. If Orton and Lesnar is the main event of that, and they're pushing 11 o'clock, I may just be like, all right, peace out. I'll catch it on a replay. I'll load it up tomorrow morning.
Yeah. I may be watching stuff at work on Monday or something.
Wow.
But
such a good job. Speaking of guys who watch stuff at work, the Revival versus Team Psycho Wrestling.
I hear there are some top guys in that match. Top guys.
Yeah, no, Scott Dawson is legit.
Yep.
By the way, do you call them Dawson Dashin like I do sometimes?
No, I don't do that.
I do it all the time. I said it to my mailman the other day.
Why?
I don't know. Why not?
Does he watch wrestling?
No.
Okay.
No. I didn't even think he heard me. I yelled it outside my window. Why are you even making me drag this on? Can we talk about the match?
I'm waiting.
I expect title changes. I think the decision to give the Revival the titles was because it was premeditated that American Alpha were going to go to the draft. And, you know, it was just a nice, easy, clean way to get the titles off of them before they went to the main roster. And it's nothing against the Revival. But you want to talk about Billy Kay being transition. I think this is a transition championship here. And I think Gargano and Ciampa are going to win it because they're the fresh, young faces of NXT. They're talented. Their CWC match was through the roof and well received. But I also think that these two guys, past Samoa Joe, past Bobby Roode, past Nakamura, past possibly Austin Aries, I think these are the two guys that are going to be fighting for the NXT title somewhere in the span of 9 to 18 months from now. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I agree with everything you just said, but I do. I think it's going to be hard to call matches differently. There's one match that I may call differently than you, but this is not going to be one of them. I actually feel like Ciampa and Gargano are going to Team Psycho Wrestling. That's what they're calling themselves.
No, I maybe made that up.
Oh, okay.
But
well, they were supposed to come up.
It's Johnny Wrestling and Psycho Killer, so I just kind of.
Yeah, I know.
Johnny Killer is not a really positive thing.
They were supposed to come up with a name today, but I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been on social
I didn't
media.
catch it either, but you know they're going to get the titles if they come up with a name because American Alpha got a name, Revival got a name.
Sure.
It's kind of a trend.
Yeah, but we'll
just like new ring gear means they're going to break up. Then
I think the Revival actually need to follow American Alpha to SmackDown because once American Alpha get through the Usos, who do they have?
That's like we would talk about last week, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
And then you got them all in the ring. You know, you got them all in the ring on Tuesday, and it was just kind of like,
yeah.
There's American Alpha.
I want those other guys. I really want those other guys to be built up, and I think you can, but I don't know that you build them up around the explosive baby faces of American Alpha. You can build them up with Dash and Dawson. You know,
I think they've done too much to tear them down at this point to really effectively build them up. If Dash and Dawson get there, I don't want them to be doing the same nonsense that the other teams did, letting the teams, you know, building other people up. I would think American Alpha versus Revival would be awesome. And SmackDown, I totally agree because that's what I was thinking of too. If Revival lose the titles here, they're a perfect fit right now in SmackDown just because of the talent that's there.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see them like this being sort of a Raw after WrestleMania moment, but it's just it's a SmackDown after Takeover moment.
Or it becomes a thing like
where they just kind of show up and they're like, you know what, we beat you guys before. You're going for the title. We're gonna go for the title too.
Or American Alpha gets the title at whatever their event is, Backlash or whatever, and they do an Authors of Pain. Revival just hits the ring and just beats the snot out of them right after they win the title.
That's actually That would actually be very fitting. So,
And then
yeah, I
they
could see,
clink the new titles together before they
yeah,
throw them at them. That'd be awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Can
That's
we
a
make
great
that
idea.
happen? Can we
Wait,
get that 8-bit wrestling meme thing to make something of
yeah,
that?
yeah, way to book it. But yeah, for this match though, it may be a show stealer. Depending on, it may very well be a show stealer
It's
because
surprising how many
people
revival
have
matches
said,
were show stealers, right?
yeah, I know it's a testament to how good they are, despite not looking like much,
Yeah.
visually.
You look like you're going to be bored by them.
Yeah, and just every match is just a nail biter. And according to a lot of things I hear from people who have, or I read from people at house shows, they say that the matches they've been having has just been like Katie bar the door, just ridiculous stuff, like insanely high level stuff. So I'm looking forward to that match, probably more than any of them.
Yeah. So the disagreement part, you don't think Gargano and Ciampa are going to be the top guys going for the title in like a year?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be in NXT that long because
Okay,
of
because of
because
cruiserweights.
of cruiserweights. Yeah. That's what I'm not sure about.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I can
Yeah,
I can.
because they got to fill out that roster, especially if they're going to possibly take up an hour of Raw.
Yeah, but I don't know if
that's what they're going to do, but
I don't know if WWE is going to do a WWE thing though and make that cruiserweight division unlike what you see in the CWC and NXT talent, and they're going to take regular talent and force them into that role, Sin Cara and Neville, and that's why they're pairing up now because they're going to have a feud for the title later, stuff like that. So that remains to be seen. But even then, I would like to see him. Yeah, I would like to see him go for the NXT title first. I think before
no, I
possibly
don't
being
disagree
wasted.
with you.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, but it just I said I disagreed, but I don't disagree with the sentiment.
Oh no, I understand. I understand.
I just don't know if that's the direction they'll go. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. Bobby Roode versus what is it? Andrade Cien Almas.
Yes.
I forgot his name. I just wrote Bobby Roode because Bobby Roode's Bobby Roode. This is going to be. I expect, knowing Bobby Roode's matches the way, having followed his career since he debuted in TNA basically from the beginning and in some indie stuff he's done in the Northeast. I expect this match is going to be a lot of him putting the other guy over at the expense of, at his expense. I bet he's going to have limited offense. The other guy is going to, Almas is going to show a lot of his moves and his skill set. And then Rude's just going to catch him in the end and then hit a few moves and finish him off. But I think Bobby Roode's role is going to be one of a champion who always wins. But he's going to fit that role, kind of like Ric Flair. You know how Ric Flair used to always just get beat upon in half his match.
Yep.
More than I kind of feel like it's going to be a little bit like that with Bobby Roode. He's in there. He's going to make other guys look good, but then he's going to get the win in the end.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. And it's I'm not sure if we'll see like real legit heel tactics more here, or if we'll see them more in the Aries match, or if we'll see them in both. But I don't know.
They're the dirty heels. They're the dirty heels. They got to get that.
Yeah.
They're the next Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic champion.
And hopefully we see. Yeah, it makes sense. It's good booking, but we'll see. Maybe we get a little more out of Cien as well from this, because he is smooth. I mean, the dude is he's legit. I get why he's so sought after and why they wanted to do something with him, but he really needs a bad guy to go up against, and that bad guy for his debut was not Ty Dillinger, because Ty Dillinger was the most over guy on the roster that night. And nobody wanted to see him lose.
No,
and now he's disappeared from TV.
because that's I guess Ty Dillinger fulfilling the Ty Dillinger role or whatever he
Yeah,
does.
yeah,
Um,
but yeah, it's every time the dude steps out, he's huge. So that was a bad. It was a good decision to have Ty in a match. It was a bad decision to have Ty doing the favors for a new guy. It was a that was probably
some
the
people
biggest
just have that role in
booking
wrestling,
mistake.
and Ty might just fit that bill. He might be more into it backstage, and he might just be doing the not the favor, but he just might be fulfilling his role in the company by doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe, but
Yeah.
it's
You can never
like
you never know. You never know when
like
it comes
he's
to backstage
so
stuff
good
like
in the
that.
ring though, and
I
not
know.
like all it took was a gimmick change, and he's like massive.
And
Like,
it's funny.
He's main event appeal at this point.
We're watching TNA here, and Sylvester Lefort and whatever his name is, Marcus Louis debut. We watched that they debut with Al Snow in TNA, and
Right.
under different names. And I'm trying to tell people, my dad more specifically, who they are. Like, you remember these guys? He's like, no. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's take a trip back in the Wayback Machine. We load up the WWE Network. We search a few matches of theirs. I wanted to find the Enzo and Cass match where they had the hair versus hair kind of thing. I stumbled upon a Ty Dillinger match. Ty Dillinger versus one of the two. Or it might have been Ty Dillinger versus Big Cass, and those guys attacked at the end or whatever. Ty Dillinger did all the stuff in the ring. He had the charisma. He did everything but say 10. And the fans just didn't like him.
Yeah.
So now you give him a catchphrase that just says 10, and all of a sudden the fans...
It was literally all he needed was a gimmick to get people on board.
Yeah.
And to pay attention.
Yeah, his match was the
Once
same.
people started paying attention, they're like, wait, this guy's actually really, really good.
His match was the same. He did the same antics beforehand, the charisma, the spinning in the ring, the pointing and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow. Like, I did not realize that he did that stuff until he had a sign that said 10. And then, by the way, NXT Takeover Respect last year was the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Tournament. That was in October. And NXT Takeover London was in December. So if things fit the bill, the next Takeover special will be the Dusty Rhodes Classic. So things could probably kind of... People can start to make alliances soon.
Yeah, it could happen exactly the way you're booking it.
Or they could just throw people together and say, have at it. But that's it. So we're both taking Rude?
Yeah, both taking Rude.
Are we going to have a nice Johnny Gargano, Ciampa, Glorious Bomb, or is that over?
That would be interesting if they found some way to put that in the show.
Not in the show, but I mean on Twitter is what I mean.
Oh, well, it'll definitely happen on Twitter, but
I didn't know if they stopped doing it by
maybe
now.
they'll like be wearing maybe they'll have the belt, the tag belts over their shoulders, and then his music will hit and he'll be going into the arena or something like
That's
that.
why we had to have the tag team title match first and then
Yeah,
Rude,
exactly.
Rude
There you
later.
go.
But okay, so that's that. Let's talk about the women's championship now. Defending champion Asuka from Seattle, Washington, versus Bayley. You have thoughts on this, right?
Do I get to go first?
Yeah. Well, this is where I lay out and let you talk.
I'm picking Bayley.
Okay, good call.
Yeah, I'm
Let's talk
picking
about
Bayley for this.
Why?
I just think
No, I know exactly why you're doing it. It's reverse psychology. You're picking Bayley because you want her on Monday Night Raw the next night, or 2 nights later. But go ahead, give me the real reason.
Not really, but I get what you're saying. I don't know. It's just the way they've been booking this and the sort of almost mean streak they've put in Bayley. I think it would be kind of interesting because she's still the babyface in this match. I mean, she's freaking John Cena. I'm going to overcome these odds. Of course, John Cena always loses at SummerSlam. He hasn't won a match at SummerSlam since 2007, by the way. But I don't know. Maybe that becomes. I don't know. It's really hard to call it. This is one where it seems obvious that it would be Asuka, but just there have been little hints that it may be Bailey, and maybe they'll take this into they'll because like you said, October, that's not that far away, and then Bailey could go to the main roster after that. Now I'm actually keeping Bailey in NXT longer instead of pushing her out the door. So
they have reverse psychology, but I think more towards the fact that we talk about every week is how limited the women's roster is in NXT.
yeah, what are they gonna do without,
they need Bailey.
Without them? Yeah.
See, now it's an interesting thing here because if Bailey wins, I think it opens up the women's division a lot more in terms of top of the card. Who can be at the top of the card? Who can fight Bailey? Kind of stuff. Because as we, again, we keep talking about, no one can seem to wrestle on Asuka's level. It's certainly not going to be Liv Morgan or Billie Kay or Mandy Rose.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the only other person is Ember Moon. Like,
who right? Because they probably have fought before.
She can't just immediately go into the main event.
Right, and that's a weird that's a terrible disconnect in terms of women's wrestling, from like the best of the best in the indies to like people who've been homegrown for like 3 years in NXT and FCW, to have like Asuka's and Athena's come in and just dominate, and like then you've gotten Bailey, Charlotte, and Sasha Banks kind of out the door, and then there's another tier below them in Charlotte, Carmella, Alexa Bliss, and then there's like everyone else, and the everyone else's can probably never have a nice match with Asuka, like a presentable match on TV where fans wouldn't just like kind of be like, we want the bra and panties back, you know what I mean? Kind of like the disrespect that they would get from it.
Sure.
It's not anything to take away. Like, I'm not degrading the bottom talent in this pecking order that I'm describing, but it's just Asuka's Asuka, and if Bailey gets the title, you can do more with it. Yeah. If Asuka has the title, then it's like, okay, it's Ember Moon, it's Bailey in a rematch, I guess.
It's Nikki.
Unless they push Nikki Glencross through the roof, like Steve Blackman style,
right? Like
they both deserve. It's not going to happen. By the way, how great was Nikki Glencross?
She was great. I like it.
And then
it shows that she's really gotten over other places because she showed so much personality. There was no, and just the fact that she was just ridiculously comfortable enough to show that much personality. Like that just shows how pro someone is, that they can come in and just be themselves, just be whatever character they're supposed to be, and it be like that's who they are. Like, because the wrestling is just something they do. Like it's I don't know. It's hard to put it into words on the spot, I guess.
When someone has it.
Yeah. I mean, she's really good. Like I get it. She's really good.
How annoyed were you when Daria, whatever they call her, because I think they called her both at one time, got into the ring? Who, by the way, the MMA gimmick and background or whatever thing works so well for her. I never knew who she was until today. I didn't even remember she was the tough enough person.
Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. Yep.
She comes in to face off against Nikki Glencross, and then they cut to a commercial for whatever.
yeah, I thought about that.
A commercial on the network for the network I'm watching the product on.
Yeah, and it was like a 15-second spot too.
on a taped show, so they edited a hole there. You just kind of have to hope that it wasn't that bad that they had to do it that way. But that takedown that Daria did on her at the end of the match too, it was like, ooh, I might have another new favorite coming in soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do.
Yeah, I am. And then stock down on Liv Morgan.
I loved her look too. It's kind of that what's
Layla Ali.
Daughter's name? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's very, very Layla Ali.
The cornrows with the robe and absolutely.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, listen, stock down on Liv Morgan, and then we have a new Eva Marie that's gonna happen, and only Corey Graves is gonna make her tolerable. But all right,
but she transitioned into that finish really good.
Yeah.
So, that was a cool reversal by Carmella too.
Definitely. That definitely was. Yeah, definitely was.
Yeah.
see, I don't know here. I want to say Asuka wins and Bayley goes on to other things. But they have, again, they have so many women on both shows. They're not even, like, Alicia Fox finally had a match on Raw. You have Paige, who we know Paige is doing now. And you have other people on Monday Night Raw. Excuse me, Nia Jax and Dana Brooke, who aren't even involved in matches. The one situation I could see, and I could make a case for, and to say it, is Bayley wins, Sasha wins at SummerSlam, and Asuka, dressed as like this like ninja or like in a ninja robe, attacks Sasha after the match. I mean, that's all right. That's not saying it to say it, because that has no chance of happening. But that'd be like the most ridiculous.
I get what you're saying.
Ridiculous. No, I'm just saying she's not really dressed as a ninja, but she's kind of like concealed.
Yeah, I get it.
And she comes in. That would be like the most ridiculous way, awesome way for like the transition from a feud with Charlotte to a feud with somebody else. But again, there's so many women on the show. I can't see Asuka joining Raw, and I can't see Bayley joining Raw right after this. I don't know. And then
especially with Raw booking, which is basically main roster or title feud,
nothing else
that gets maybe 5 minutes, and then one other feud that gets maybe 2 minutes. I mean, that's the ladies booking, unfortunately, for Raw right now.
Actually, ladies booking for Raw right now is title contender, and then Nia Jax squash.
Yeah, you're right.
2 out of every 3 weeks.
That's 100% exactly what it is.
We're going to feature somebody else and actually put them on the microphone more than we're going to feature other people that we could in the company. But listen, you got to have the jobber matches, I guess, to make things go round and protect other people in the business. So you're saying Bayley to stick around. I'm going to say Bayley too, because I think they're going to reward her with the whole first 2-time champion thing, and I think they can just do more with her going forward.
I mean, all those new girls those 3 new girls can work with Bayley for a little bit, and then they have to work, and it's sort of they have to work Bayley, and then they have to look out for Asuka too. You can have Asuka seeking revenge, and she starts showing up at the end of Bayley's matches and not doing anything in the matches, just torching the other girls.
This one might get a third match. Asuka wins the first, Bayley wins the second. This one might get the third match at the next special. But with Bayley as champion, like you said, it's just any female talent on the roster can probably work well with Bayley.
Yeah.
Not any female roster member on the roster seems to mesh well with Asuka, and I guess that's proven by the fact that we haven't seen Asuka wrestle a lot since she's been the champion. So
I think they know that. I think they know they just don't have that much for her.
Right. And then Asuka can probably fight Ember Moon, and Bayley can probably fight Billie Kay or whoever after that. Even if there's, it doesn't necessarily have to be a title match after that. It could be whatever. But some gimmick battle royal where Asuka winds up winning, or Asuka and Ember Moon land at the same time. You can't determine a winner, so then they do a match on TV, whatever. But all right, Joe versus Nakamura, the main event. I don't really know what to expect this, because
this is a hard match to call. I think any answer is good, and I don't think it necessarily means anyone's moving on or anything like that.
See, that's the problem with calling matches now in NXT, is we're always someone's moving on, someone's going to lose to move on. When a couple months ago to a year ago, it was just like, let's call it, we're calling it black and white. And now it's kind of like, well, if Joe loses, Nakamura's probably going to win, and Joe's going to lose, and Joe's going to move on to Raw and challenge Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, stuff like that. It's kind of like a bummer for NXT, isn't it now?
Yeah, well, it's still very apparent now that some of those guys need to move up, like the Revival, like we were talking about before. It just seems quite necessary for them to move up. I don't know that you need more singles talent, because you need more singles talent that exists on the other rosters getting over on the other rosters now. So bringing in new blood doesn't necessarily help them with that.
I mean, I'd like to see Joe versus Strowman. I'd like to see Joe versus Lesnar. I'd like to
Yeah.
see Joe versus a lot of people. But I probably would want to see Joe on SmackDown. Joe versus Cena. Joe versus AJ. Joe versus Ambrose.
Well, I
More.
think it makes sense to keep Joe and Balor as separate as possible for as long as possible. So there's no, oh, when are they going to fight again? When are they going to fight again? When are they, it's there's a reason to keep those two guys in particular apart,
Yeah.
especially if Balor, which we'll get to this on the next show, especially if Balor walks away with the Universal title. If Joe's showing up, it's just like, oh, well, I'm going to take that title from you now. It's just kind of a thing.
It's the whole Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, or whatever thing, kind of.
Yeah, I
Except not at the main event.
actually see, I could, back on NXT though, back on Takeover, I could actually see Nakamura taking this and Joe blaming Regal because he's doing that a lot, and I feel like that's going to be more of this story. And I don't think him holding on to the title at Takeover furthers that part of the story that Regal is sort of keeping it. Him being, him considering himself a victim of Regal all the time. I feel like that story needs more. It is begging for more. I feel like that's what they're doing, is that Joe, Regal, I don't suspect after spinal stenosis surgery, Regal's ever getting in the ring again.
I was kind of thinking that maybe Regal and Joe would happen. But I don't know if it's in any condition to happen, but...
I mean, he got his neck ripped open and cut up, so I doubt he's ever going to be... I don't know. I don't know the extent of his surgery, but it's the same surgery Edge had. So, put that in perspective. I don't... It's also
Regal fights him by proxy, and maybe it's Tajiri.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that that's an out of ring feud that needs to continue, and I don't think it continues and helps build Joe's character more. And I don't think it continues if Joe keeps the title. So, based on something completely out of the ring that has been part of Joe's character, I'm going to pick Nakamura for this match.
Well, I mean, it's so obvious that Nakamura is going to win this match that I'm going to say Joe is going to win the match.
Sure.
Because I do like that dynamic with Regal. I like how it opened up at the interview with Byron Saxton finally being useful for once, asking the right questions. More hard-hitting than Steve Austin, by the way. Yeah, more hard-hitting than Steve Austin, those questions.
Yes.
I like how that opened up. And Joe with a chip on his shoulder, blaming the establishment while still being the champion and beating everybody he puts in his way, like Regal puts in his way. I kind of like that. But the problem is the way NXT does their tapings and TV shows and then the takeovers 3 and 4 months in between, there's not a lot of championship matches in between. So there's not a lot of Regal's going to throw opponent after opponent at him.
Right.
So it leans probably more towards your argument of if he doesn't have the title, then he can be more invested with Regal every week on TV rather than fighting every week on TV for the title, because they don't really do that on TV shows. They protect championship matches in NXT. It's kind of unheard of in wrestling.
Yeah.
But I think Nakamura is so hot right now that maybe they're going to make the fans desire it a little bit longer. And maybe he somehow loses out on this. And I think that we might have our first ever NXT really legit screw job finish where Joe hits Nakamura with the title behind the ref's back or something. Because we haven't had one of those, as far as I know, in NXT.
Yeah, well, we
takeovers.
haven't had someone who is like a true heel as NXT champion.
Kevin Owens might disagree with that.
Well, okay, you're right.
Yeah,
but cheat to win, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Cheat to win. Bo Dallas had that crybaby cheat to win attitude, but I think he kind of but he wasn't Takeover champ. Like, he wasn't a champion in the Takeover era. Neville was,
and Neville kind of did the whole faking an injury thing, but like
But
really
lost that
cheating
match.
to win.
Yeah. Oh no, he won that match, right? He won that
Yeah,
match.
he won that match.
That was the 4-way, right? Yeah.
No, not the 4-way. Like the match he had with Sammy.
No, I thought that was the 4-way with Tyson Kidd and Breeze as well. And he faked the injury, and then he let down his guard and lost. And maybe you're right, because I think they only had one match, and Zayn won at Takeover.
I thought they had two, but I could be wrong. But I guess what I was getting at though is you've had Owens, who's like this ruthless monster, but he didn't necessarily cheat, and you've had Neville, who faked an injury, but that's not really cheating. You know what I'm saying? It's just like there's all these guys who have done something sort of underhanded, but it's not out and out cheating. It's about time we have someone who just really heals it up. And Joe's been nasty and a victim and everything like that. I think it would be really appropriate to have sort of a screw job ending, but we'll see.
Yeah, I
really
think
get him some heat.
I think it's time for it, because I think the fans are so hot on Nakamura, and the fans are still like, Joe's Joe, and the smart mark crowd, they'll cheer Joe, but I think they're kind of like.
But if it's a screw job, he'll
Right.
actually get some boos. Like people
Right.
will be like, okay, even though that's great, I need to boo him because he.
Well, that's what I
quote-unquote
mean.
ruined this
I think
match.
the screw
Yeah.
job injury, the screw job finish, then sets Joe over as the villain, because now the fans, they like Joe, they love Nakamura, and they want Nakamura to win, even if they're in whatever. Even if they read dirt sheets and know everything that's going on, they still root for people that they like. I think the screwjob finish is coming. I think it's the title belt or whatever.
I like that.
Yeah,
I think that's an appropriate way for Joe to win the match in this particular case.
Yeah, I think so too. Hey, listen, if we were to get a surprise match, a return of sorts, or debut or something, do you think any sort of, can you come up with any sort of scenario to kind of like fill the time if they need to? Because they have 6 matches as it is, so I doubt they're going to fill the time, but who knows? Because they always do dignitaries at ringside and everything. Anybody you think that might show up?
No. Maybe somebody from CWC.
Probably everybody from CWC. You'll probably
Fair
have
enough.
everybody in the.
But I'm just saying could actually have that match, but that also may just be another taped one. So.
What match?
No, you could just have the CWC, a guy from CWC, like a guy who recently lost or something like that.
Oh, another match.
Well, I mean, they've done winners and losers from CWC who do a match with someone who's an established NXT guy. So I don't know if you do that with, I don't know if you actually do that on Takeover to really further push that point of, hey, you need to be watching this other show too, or if you wait and it just gets recorded for TV next week.
They'll probably record it from TV next week, but they'll probably rotate some of the guys front row. It's hard to believe Ibushi won't be there. I don't know. I don't know who else. Noam Dar might be there at ringside. Like they did on NXT TV the past couple weeks, where there's Cedric Alexander, Tony Nese, and Jack Sabre Jr. So stuff like that. But should be a fun show. I am definitely looking forward to it.
Me too.
Definitely looking forward to it more than SummerSlam. Although when I was prepping for the SummerSlam prediction show, it's got a lot of good matches. It's just to watch them all on the same night. It's just like
long.
Yeah, and we hated SummerSlam 2 years ago, and you loved SummerSlam last year because your man crush Stephen Amell was on it. So,
hey, he did good.
He did good. He did good.
Probably one of the top 5 celebrity appearances at a WWE event, I would say.
You putting him over Bob Barker?
I said top 5.
All right.
I didn't say it was
All
the
right.
top.
All right,
Bob Barker's obviously the top.
Bob Barker's obviously the top. Hey, listen. Who is your favorite roller games team?
I got nothing. Are you
T-Birds, Violators, what?
you're stalling for no reason?
Did it annoy you when the Violators played against Bad
Yes,
Attitude and they both wore the
yes.
black uniforms?
So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke. He's Larry, and I think he just quit. I think he either passed out or he threw his headset down. So that's what happened. Bye.